Hi everyone, today we're going to be looking at organic compounds that contain nitrogen. So we'll start with amines. So amines have the functional group, so NH2. So you're going to see the NH2 group here. And this is going to be attached to an R group, which is going to be a carbon chain. And the name of the functional group is amino. So the class name is amine. The functional group name is amino. It's sometimes also called amine. You're not going to be penalized if you say amine, but normally we call it amino. And the name of amines end with amine. So for example, if you have one carbon, it's called methylamine. So you have the name of the alkyl chain and then amine. So methylamine. 2 carbons, ethylamine. 3 carbons, propylamine. So the full structural formula, so you will all have, in all of them, you will have the NH2 group. And here you have 1 carbon attached. So you have CH3 attached to it. So this is going to be here CH3 NH2. And 2 carbons. So you have CH3, CH2, NH2. And then 3 carbons, you will have 3 carbons attached to the NH2 group here. And for the skeletal formula, so here you have only 1 carbon and this is attached to NH2. Here you have 2 carbons and this is attached to NH2. So this is 1 carbon, this is 2 carbon. And here you have 3 carbons. So 1, 2, 3, and this is attached to NH2. So here are the amines. Now, generally, this is what we observe about amines. So you have the alkyl chain and then you have NH2. But this hydrogen here can also be substituted by other alkyl chains. So you can have N, R, and H. This is also an amine, where you have 2 alkyl chains. And then you could also have it surrounded by 3 alkyl chains, where all the hydrogen surrounding the nitrogen is replaced by an alkyl chain. So when you have the different substitution, you're going to have the different classification of amines, where you have the primary amine, secondary amine, and tertiary amine. So here the amine is attached to only 1 alkyl group, so it's a primary amine, attached to 2 alkyl groups, a secondary amine, attached to 3 alkyl groups, a tertiary amine. This is what you see here. So primary amine attached to only 1 carbon, secondary amine attached to 2 carbons, and tertiary amine attached to 3 carbons. Now, when you're naming the amines, you will have to name the groups surrounding the nitrogen and then add amine to the name. So, for example, here, our group is C2H5. So, C2, this is an ethyl chain, ethyl side chain. So, this is going to be ethylamine. This one, so this is a methyl side chain. But when you look at the formula, you see there's 2 methyl. So this is going to be dimethyl side chain. So dimethylamine. And here you have methyl again, but you have 3 of them. So this is trimethylamine. Here. And so this is a primary amine, this is a secondary amine, and this is a tertiary amine. Let's try to name these ones now. So here you have 1, 2, 3 carbons. So this is a propyl chain. So propylamine. And here on the carbon, on one side you have the propyl, and on the other side you have the CH3, so methyl and propyl. So what we're going to do, we're going to attach the name of the amine with a longer side chain. So propyl has 3, 1, 2, 3. So it's still a propylamine, but you have a methyl which is attached to the nitrogen. So what we'll say? We'll say N-methyl propylamine. Okay, so because the methyl is attached to the nitrogen, we'll say N-methyl propylamine. Here we have still the propyl chain, so it's still a propylamine. And you have a methyl and another methyl attached to the nitrogen. So here it's going to be N, N, dimethyl propylamine. Okay, so there's 2 methyl attached to the nitrogen. Now you will not be expected to write the names of amines. This is just for you to be familiar with the names, but you will not be expected, according to the syllabus, you're not supposed to be expected to name amines. This is just for the names to be familiar to you. The next class of compound is amide. So amide, you're going to have the functional group CO and then NH2 here. And this is attached to an R group. And the name of this functional group is carboxyamide. So the name ends with amide, and when you're naming amides, it's similar to naming of carboxylic acids. So just instead of writing propanoic acid, it will be propanamide. So for example, here I have 1, 2, 3 carbons. So 3 carbons, this is propanamide. So instead of propanoic acid, propanamide. Here I have 1, 2, so this is ethanamide. So you can see the carboxyamide group here. Now, when we have substituents on the nitrogen, so here these hydrogens can also be substituted. Okay. These can be substituted, and again we're going to use the N in the naming to specify that it's the nitrogen that is substituted. So here it's N-methyl propanamide. So you identify the amide first, and then you put the substitution of the nitrogen. Another example. So here I have 1, 2, 3. So this is a propanamide. And here on the nitrogen, you have 2 carbons that are attached. So this is N-ethyl propanamide. If 2 substituents are on the nitrogen, again, then we're going to use N, N. Same thing as we did for the amines. So here it's 1 carbon. So this is methylamide. And on the nitrogen you have 2 methyl. So methanamide. And the 2 methyl are on the nitrogen, so N, N dash dimethyl methanamide. Here again, I have 2 carbons, so this is an ethanamide. On the nitrogen, I have 1 methyl, and then I have another ethyl, so this is N, N, ethyl ethanamide. That's one way of naming, or you could say N ethyl N-methyl ethanamide. So that's another way of naming. But again, you're not supposed to know the details of the naming of amides. The last class of compounds that contain nitrogen is nitriles. Nitriles will have the C triple bond end linkage. So you have an R group bonded to C triple bond end, and this is called the cyanofunctional group. C triple bond end is the cyanofunctional group, and the names end with nitrile. So for example, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 carbons. So 4 carbons, this is going to be butane nitrile. And here I have 1, 2 carbons. So this is ethane nitrile. That's it. So you just name the chain attached to it, and then you add nitrile to the name. So with this, we end with all the classes of compounds with all the functional groups.